With McLaren and the dynamic duo of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri blasting through the track and scoring a double podium finish for the team at Suzuka, they are putting up a challenge against the mighty Red Bull team. So why not today, we all look into the decades-long history of this iconic team and how one man led to the creation of the McLaren Formula One team. Boom! So buckle up, grab your racing goggles, and let's hit the gas on this high-octane journey in the world of Formula One. Now, imagine this. It's the swinging 60s, and a young New Zealand driver by the name of Bruce McLaren is making waves in the British Formula One series. He's tearing up the track for the British team Cooper, but there's a catch. He wants to take on the Australasian Tasman series, which allows bigger engines than the ones Cooper uses. But alas, Cooper says, no, stick with our usual Formula One engines. So, what does Bruce do? Does he throw in the towel? No, he says, I'll do it myself. And voila, Bruce McLaren Motor Racing Team was officially born in 1963. And at the heart of it, McLaren's team is meant to be Bruce and his potential Formula One teammate, Tommy Mayer, both driving custom-built Cooper cars. And guess what? They went on to win the 1964 Tasman Series. So, the story takes a somber turn. Tragedy strikes as Tommy Mayer tragically loses his life during practice for the final race of the 1964 Tasman Series. It's a heartbreaking loss for Bruce and for Formula One, who was not only a teammate but a close friend. Yet, Bruce's racing spirit remains unbroken. In the midst of this, Bruce approaches Teddy Mayer for some help in buying the Zurich sports car from Roger Penske. And you know what they say about great minds? Bruce and Teddy hit it off and started discussing a partnership. Teddy Mayer eventually becomes the biggest shareholder in Bruce McLaren Motor Racing Limited, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now, where did Bruce set up his racing operation? Feltham, my friends. But here's a twist. Bruce was a bit of a rebel when it came to tradition. While most British racing teams proudly displayed their British racing green colours, Bruce went, nah, I'm going to stand out. So we opted for a unique and striking colour schemes that didn't follow any national principles. A true maverick. While Bruce was busy building up his team, he didn't miss a chance to hop into sports car events both in the UK and North America. He even decided to join the 1965 Tasman Series, bringing along none other than the great Phil Hill as his partner in speed. But guess what? After seeing Cooper's performance dwindle, Bruce makes a ballsy move. He decides to race in his own cars in 1966. It's a decision that would change McLaren's destiny forever. So, in 1966, McLaren team made their grand debut at the Monaco race. Yep, that's right. Of course, Monaco is like showing up at the Oscars for your first acting gig. But wait, hold your applause. Hold it! After just 9 laps, they're out of the race due to a terminal oil leak. The car they're using, the M2B, was designed by Robin Herd. But here's the kicker. It's let down by some not-so-stellar engine choices. Picture this, they use a 3.0 litre version of Ford's Indianapolis 500 engine and a Serenissima V8. Both are about as reliable as a chocolate teapot and about as powerful as a sleepy tortoise. The Serenissima V8 does manage to nab the team's first point in Britain, but overall, these engines were like a bad Tinder date. Nothing to write home about. Bruce isn't one to give up easily though. In 1967, he decided to give the British Racing Motors BRM V12 engine a shot. But here's the catch. The development of these engines is about as fast as a snail in winter. So, the McLaren team has to start with a modified Formula 2 car called the M4B, powered by a 2.1 litre BRM V8 engine. But wait, there's more! They eventually build a slightly bigger car called the M5, specifically to fit the V12 engine. Yet even with this shiny new car, the results are meh. Their best finish is a 4th place in Monaco in 1968. It's like coming in 4th at a talent show with a magic trick that just doesn't quite pull off that wow factor. You just don't want to see it. Now, here's where the story shifts gears. In 1968, McLaren gets a major boost. They welcome the 1967 champion, Denny Hulme, to their ranks. With Hulme on board, the new car, the M7, designed by Robin Herd, roars to life. It's powered by the legendary Cosworth DSV engine, which goes on to become a staple in McLaren's engine bay for the next 15 years. Bruce McLaren and Denny Hulme start racking up them wins, clinching victories at the Race of Champions and the International Trophy, both non-championship races. Bruce McLaren himself grabs the team's first championship win at the Belgian Grand Prix. Talk about making an entrance. Hulme doesn't sit back either. He went on to win the Italian and the Canadian Grand Prix later that year, helping the team secure 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship. Now, fast forward to the following year, Bruce McLaren continues to hit the gas, unveiling an updated version of the M7. And Bruce McLaren notches up 3 podium finishes. They're a team on the rise, come on! But the story gets even juicier in 1970, where unfortunately tragedy strikes when Bruce McLaren loses his life in a crash while testing the new M8D Can-Am car. Teddy Meyer, a key figure in this McLaren story, takes over the team's reins, and Denny Hulme remains as the driver, along with Dan Gurney and Peter Gethin partnering him. Gurney has a promising start, winning the first 2 Can-Am events, but he eventually leaves the team mid-season, leaving Gethin to take over in 1971. Now, the team doesn't secure any wins that season, but they're like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And here's where the plot thickens. In 1974, Emerson Fittipaldi, who'd already won the World Championship with Lotus, joins McLaren. And guess what? He means business. He took the top step of the podium in Argentina and went on to win in Brazil, Belgium, and Canada. Fittipaldi's victories helped secure McLaren's first Drivers' Championship, with Fittipaldi leading the charge. The competition is fierce, but Fittipaldi finally clinches the championship with a 4th place finish at the United States Grand Prix. The team also bags their first Constructors' Championship. It's a championship double whammy. Get in! But Formula One wouldn't be the same without a little bit of drama, right? So for the McLaren racing team, 1981 heralded the start of a new era. The choice to unite with Ron Dennis's Project 4 Racing was a game changer for the squad. McLaren picked up their winning ways once more, and soon Niki Lauda and Alain Prost won back-to-back world championships from 1984 to 1986. Senna then joined the team in 1988, and the following year, as McLaren Hondas won all but one race, Senna won the world championship for the first time. The following years witnessed one of the most intense rivalries in Formula One history, with teammates Senna and Prost at each other's throats. Tensions ran high, leading Prost to part ways with McLaren after the 1989 season. The Senna-Prost saga is like a Rosberg versus Hamilton in 2016. It was so thrilling to watch them duke it out on the tracks. Senna remained with McLaren until 1993, and boy, did he deliver. He won 3 Drivers' Championships for the team in 1988, 1990, and 1991. The McLaren racing team is riding high. But, as they say, all good things must come to an end. In the mid-90s, Honda, who'd been supplying engines to McLaren, bowed out of the sport. Combine that with the departures of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, and McLaren enters a challenging phase. They're in a bit of a tailspin. But the end isn't near yet. McLaren forms a partnership with Mercedes-Benz, which will supply their engine. They also bring in legendary designer Adrian Newey from the rival team, Williams. And these moves paid off, with Mika Hakkinen snagging back-to-back titles in 1998 and 99. 98 was the last time McLaren stood as the Constructors' champions. The early 2000s saw McLaren finishing as the bridesmaid, but just not the bride, in both Drivers' and Constructors' championships. And then comes 2007, a season filled with high stakes, and dare I say, some espionage. But McLaren gets into hot water over some Ferrari data and loses their constructor points. You'll soon get a video on the infamous Spygate scandal soon, so don't worry about that. But why not hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it, okay? And let's get to the McLaren. Let's get back to McLaren. The rivalry between teammates Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso reached epic proportions in 2007. They finished with the same number of points, just one short of the driver's title. McLaren watches as the championship crown slips away, but still secures second place in the Constructors' Championship. Whew! Things turn around the next season when Hamilton won his first driver's title in 2008, but McLaren, however, failed to get the Constructors' trophy. Now, it's 2009, and it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for McLaren. They struggled to score points, let alone win races. But they put in elbow grease and turned the MP424 into a race-winning car. Hamilton took victories in Hungary and Singapore, helping McLaren secure a well-deserved third place in the standings. You can call it a comeback, kind of. So, enter 2010, a year that McLaren shines. Their car might not be the fastest on the grid, but it's reliable. It shines in damp conditions and it has this nifty feature called a drag reduction system, or as we all know it, DRS. It's like the James Bond of race cars. McLaren leads the standings for the first half of the season, but ultimately finishes second overall, securing 5 wins. They're almost there, but just not quite McLaren. 2011, McLaren is back, and they're breathing down the necks of the dominant Red Bull team. With Hamilton and Button grabbing 3 wins each, McLaren finishes a solid second in the final standings. They're like that runners-up who's just ready to snatch the gold the next time, but just don't quite get there. Don't get too comfortable though, because 2012 sees McLaren on a roller coaster ride. They might have won the first round in Australia, but Button and Hamilton struggled to conquer the art of the Pirelli tyre management. Mid-season updates get them back on the pace, but reliability problems derail their title hopes. It's like one of them like great movies, but with a unexpected plot twist at the end. Now, as we hit the mid-2010s, McLaren is at a crossroads. Honda, their engine supplier, exits once again. Plus, they wave goodbye to their star driver, Lewis Hamilton. And we all know how that goes. So, tough times ahead. But here's where it gets interesting. McLaren strikes a partnership with Renault, and a fresh wind blows through the team. They show sparks of brilliance in the 2019 season, establishing themselves as the best of the rest behind the big 3 teams. McLaren's third place finish in the 2019 Brazilian GP marks their first podium in 5 years. And then 2020, a year that puts McLaren back on the winner's podium with drivers like Ricciardo and Norris. It's like a surprise party that you never expected, right? Yeah. They drop back down to 4th overall after a season-long battle with Ferrari. Now, 2022, a year that's proving to be quite a bit of a bumpy ride. McLaren drops to 5th place, but remember, legends always bounce back. And we get to 2023, where we are right now. And we're seeing McLaren rise back up through the ashes as they are now the second fastest team behind Red Bull. So it remains to be seen how they will perform in the rest of the season, and can they beat the likes of Aston Martin, Ferrari and Mercedes to clinch that second spot in the team standings. So there you have it, in the epic journey that we've just been on with McLaren and the world of Formula 1. They face triumphs, tribulations, and of course plenty of plot twists along the way. And now it's your turn to tell us, how soon do you think McLaren will roar back to domination in the F1 scene? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Hey, and remember, the race is far from over with this iconic team of McLaren. That's been it for me. What an episode. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!